Yeah. It's another edition of NBA Picks and Props, and we are pretty close to the finish line in terms of the NBA regular season. That is, as of tonight, this Thursday night, most teams have about 3 games left. Final games of the season will be Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, all the teams will be playing. We'll get into more into that later in the show, and that'll have some interesting betting possibilities with a lot on the line, so there'll be a lot to talk about. I'm Dexter Henry. This week, we are down a member of our squad. It'll be a DNP for Gerard Hector this week. He will not be here. I think we just finally had 2 weeks in a row where he was here, but we're back to that. He'll be back next week. We'll be playoff ready. We'll be playoff ready. He has to get a little playoff rest. But introducing my other guys. First, my man Jamal Murphy. He was just telling me he just came back from his son's baseball practice, and the parents weren't doing too much on the diamond. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm chilling, man. I was, doing a little backup first base and third base for every time, a kid throws the ball to first baseman. 6 years old, they can't catch. So I was very busy. You know what I'm saying? I got a bad back, so it was a little iffy.
Yo, see, that's
good.
That's where I was gonna go. I was like, at our age, I don't know how good that might be on the joints. You start moving and lunging for balls the way you used to. We got to put Brian out there. Brian's got to be the one showing the range. I ain't got time. I ain't got time for that anymore. Brian, speaking of range, I feel like you're probably a little bit of a ways away from being out there with the kiddies, but I'm sure you're gonna be excited. Hopefully. But I'm sure you'll be excited to talk about your Miami Heat tonight, who are looking pretty good heading into the playoffs.
Jimmy Butler game time decision because he got poked in the eye by, I think it was Marcus Smart. And I told you guys through text, I'm very surprised that poked eyes don't happen more often in MMA or in basketball. That is some serious shit. So, we'll see. He's going to give it a go, game time decision. But yeah, man, regarding the whole youth sports thing, that was me at one point. And I feel like even if I had to chase these kids around too, I would feel kind of washed as well, even at my age. So I feel you. I ain't just gonna run around like that,
Age comes up on you really quickly in those things. I remember working for a youth baseball program and coaching, but this is when I was like 16 or something, and it was easy to run around with those little kids. Now, nah, that's it ain't going down like that. Yeah, I just get tired watching my daughter run a soccer practice. I get tired watching that. So that's it. All right, let's get into these games. Some really good games, guys. There's been a lot this week, a lot of games with a lot of impact. And, it's been great. I don't know how everybody feels about the play-in tournament, but I think it's undeniable that these games at the end of the season have been pretty exciting. First game of the night, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers. They are going to be down to South Beach against Brian's Miami Heat. Philadelphia is favored by 2 in this contest. The over-under here is 217. The stakes for Philadelphia is they are 2 games up in the loss column on the Brooklyn Nets. So that's a 1.5 lead that they have right now. They're trying to hold on to that number 1 spot. The Nets still could have a chance to get that number 1 spot. So still a lot to play for here. Miami, on their side, they are now currently sitting in the 5th spot. Atlanta won last night, so they could tie them in terms of wins. The Knicks also be in action. We'll get to them later. But so Miami and Philadelphia both have a lot to play for. As Brian said, Jimmy Butler is a game-time decision. Murph, I'll start with you. Who do you like in this contest? Is this a game you'd bet on? Are you afraid of taking Miami because Jimmy Butler being up in the air with a GTD?
Yeah, this is a tough one. There's all kind of stuff going on. You're right. This game should mean a lot to both teams, but we just like around the league, we don't know who's playing. No team is fully healthy. You got Embiid is questionable, they're saying, but I was listening to NBA Sirius Radio just now, and they're saying he's not even in Miami. So I think he's out. So, and then you got Jimmy Butler's a game time decision. I'm going to go Miami with this because at least there's a chance that Jimmy Butler plays. They need this game. I think they want to be in that 4 or 5 slot. They don't want to be in that 6 slot. If they win this game, it's smooth sailing to either the 4th or 5th spot. So I think they probably want it more. They're probably a little more healthy. So I would go Miami here. I know Philly's still going to be tough with or without Embiid. They're going to play defense regardless. But Miami's a dangerous squad. Everybody knows that. And when they come to play, they can play with anybody. So, Philly without Embiid, I got to give Miami the slight edge.
Yeah, Miami's been playing well. Won 7 out of their last 10, I believe 10 out of their last 13. They just pretty much buried the Boston Celtics. And you know what Gerard would say if he was here. Brian, are you all in on the Miami train to keep things rolling here tonight against the Sixers?
So the Sixers had an 8-game winning streak before their last loss, and the Heat have won 10 of their last 13. So both teams have actually been playing well. But if what Murph said is true, and Joel Embiid is not even there, and at least Jimmy Butler has a chance to play, then I probably lean Miami there. But at the same time, this is kind of a stay away for me because of the uncertainty surrounding the two best players involved in this game, former teammates, I might add. But I think at the end of the day, Miami's you're gonna see a concerted effort from them. Like, I'm starting to get back into, like, when you watch them, they've been inconsistent and up and down all season long, as has the Boston Celtics in a similar regard, although it's actually been worse than Boston. And they've dropped games that they should have won, and you never know when they're going to show up sometimes. There's been less of that lately. Now they're starting to show up. It's like the playoff clock is sort of ticking, and I feel like they're playing at an effort level that suggests that they're just going to want it more. So I would probably lean towards them if I absolutely had to pick, but this is kind of a stay away for me. Over under, I'd probably lean under because I'm not sure, again, if Butler and Embiid are going to be there. And I don't see Sixers Heat being super high scoring basketball late in the season because I think both of these teams are going to defend well and get into playoff mode. So it's a little bit up in the air for me, but I guess I would lean Miami, though I'm not very confident about that, especially if they still have Ben Simmons, and say what you want, but he's been great defensively, and it's going to be very interesting to see what he's able to do if Joel Embiid is not in fact playing.
Yeah, there's too many question marks for me here, as you guys said. Too much up in the air. Embiid questionable, although now hearing what Murph heard on Sirius XM radio for the NBA, if he didn't travel with the team to Miami, that's, obviously he's probably not going to play, and I'm sure that news didn't come out of nowhere. So I don't like that there. This is one I would say I'd lean Miami, like you said, Brian, because they're probably going to be hungrier in terms of what they want, but Philly's still pretty good defensively. I would just if it was me, just stay away and watch and enjoy this game. Betting on it would make me nervous. It'd make me go crazy. Don't like the over-under either with too much up in the air. Would it shock you guys tonight if Butler and Embiid both don't play? Wouldn't shock me. I don't know how entertaining that is. Maybe Ben Simmons shoots more finally. Maybe. Don't know.
No.
But yeah, that's probably a safe bet, Murph. Probably not. Probably not at all. But yeah, I would have to stay away from this right now. Philly, the money is a lot of money for the spread, 51%, not a lot, but just 51% of the spread handle is with the Sixers. So, it's kind of a pick 'em game, line being at 2. We'll see if that even fluctuates before the start of this game at 7:30. So it should be interesting. All right, another game tonight that has some playoff or play-in implications. San Antonio Spurs, they're here in the Big Apple. They will be taking on the New York Knicks, who just wrapped up a 3-3 road trip, coming off a tough loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Knicks are favored minus 5.5 in this contest. The over-under here, pretty close to Philadelphia, Miami. It's at 216.5, guys. Brian, do you like the Knicks to bounce back at home? They've got 3 games left to play in the season. The games look pretty winnable. They could win out. They still want to get up to the 4 seed if they can, if possible. A lot for them to fight for. Do you like the Knicks to bounce back here tonight?
Yeah, I would lean towards the Knicks in this one. Excuse me, a little bit more confidently also, because I just don't think that they're going to lose all 3 of these last games. And I think similar to the Heat, like, they have something to play for, and I think they're actually going to show that they're going to play for that something. Over under, I typically lean under with the Knicks because they don't play in a lot of high scoring games. There are times where their offense is firing on all cylinders, and the Spurs, they do have like a quality, like, they do have their quality offensive showings when you see them on and off again throughout the season. But I would lean with New York here, though. Just not super confident about it, but more confident than I am in the Heat pick because I at least have a feel for the injury report a little bit more in this game. So let's go Knicks, I guess.
All right, let's go Knicks. I like to hear that. Murph, how are you feeling about this contest? San Antonio, on their end, they're sitting in the 10th spot for the play-in in the West. They should be pretty secure in this. New Orleans Pelicans, your team got eliminated from playing competition the other night. And the Kings, Sacramento Kings, believe it or not, one of the worst defenses in the NBA, they're actually still alive. They're 2 games behind the Spurs, which they really need the Spurs to lose, and they've had to win their final games here. Spurs have too much to play for. You think they'd hold off the Kings. Do you like the Knicks or do you like the Spurs in this contest?
Well, when I first looked at this game, I was looking at the Knicks' remaining games, and I thought this might be, this might be able to give the Knicks some trouble here. But then I saw the Spurs play last night against the Nets, just kind of lifeless. They didn't have much going for them, and then it's a back-to-back. They just finished playing Brooklyn. The Knicks look a lot better. The Knicks are playing some good ball. They're 7-3 in their last 10. 7-3 against the spread. Also, I think the Spurs not so hot in their last 10. I think they're 3-7. So, I think I'm liking this more and more the more I look at it. 4.5 spread. I think the Knicks are going to take care of business here. I also like the under. Like Brian said, any Knick game, I'm looking at that under very, very hard. Won some money the other night against the Lakers, taking the under. I think the Knicks Lakers was like 211 over under, and I had the under, and it went to overtime, and I still won.
Yeah.
So the Knicks play D every night. They know they need this game. They actually have 2 tough games even after this to close out the season. So I think the Knicks take care of business. Spurs on a back-to-back. They haven't been playing well anyway. I'm pretty confident in the Knicks and the under.
It looks like Dexter froze. He gotta click out and get his ass back in here. But yeah, I'm rolling with you, man. I don't know. The Knicks, we'll see. I think with the Spurs at least, like I would also look at some player prop, for DeMar DeRozan, who's kind of become a little bit of a triple-double threat more often than I would have thought. He's actually looked really good in San Antonio this year. And then with Julius Randle, you always got to look at points, rebounds, assists, because, he's still filling up the stat sheet and has been all season long.
Yeah, I like that DeRozan call.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to have to go with the Knicks on this one. I liked what I heard from the team following that Lakers loss. They were really pissed. I know there could be some concern in flying back across the country, a day between that, and now they're playing. But I think they're going to come out pretty motivated to take care of business. Like you said, Murph, they know they have 2 tough games, the Hornets and the Celtics. Although the Celtics are locked in to the berth due to the Celtics the night before, the Celtics, I think, want to definitely make sure they keep the 7 spot and have home court advantage in that playoff game. So, that might mean a lot for them even on the final day of the season, and we'll get to that later. But I would go with the Knicks here, absolutely bang the under. I think it's a good bet. I think the Knicks will cover this. If you like the money line for the Knicks, I think that's also a good play. I think the Knicks get this here. San Antonio, they're not really motivated. They're probably just trying to get to the play-in, and they know the Kings are so bad they probably won't catch them anyway. So, why not? Unless somebody wants to bet on the Kings, but I won't do that again.
Nope.
Yeah, that's enough.
Not.
All right, last game that we're going to talk about. Second game on TNT. Philadelphia Miami is the first one. This should be a good one, and it's very interesting, and it has a ton of playoff implications. That is the Portland Trailblazers coming off of a big win last night in Utah. So this is the second night of a back-to-back from them. They will be in Phoenix tonight taking on the Suns. The Suns are favored here in this contest, 4.5 points. Over-under here is 234.5. Phoenix, they've dropped a few recently. They still are in the mix in terms of getting the number 1 seed in the West. They are 1 game back in the loss column behind the Jazz, so they still have a chance. If they want that top spot, they're going to need this game tonight. The Trailblazers staying alive. They're right now in the 5th spot, but they've got the Lakers breathing down their neck as well. And a loss here could sort of leave the door open for the Lakers if they're able to capitalize in their final games. Murph, do you like the Trailblazers to stay hot? They got a big win. They've been playing pretty good ball lately, 5 in a row, 9 out of their last 10. Can the Blazers stay hot here tonight against the Suns?
Yeah, this is a real tough one. I think we all think or believe that Phoenix is the better team, but Portland's definitely playing better right now. Portland, like you said, 9 of the last 10. Phoenix has won 6 out of the last 10. 5-5 against the spread during that time, but they've lost some games in fashions that don't look too pretty. So I think I'm leaning Portland just because of the way they're playing. It's kind of a stay away from me, but at 4.5 points, I wouldn't mind taking Portland to at least make it a closer game than that and maybe pull off the W. Lillard's been playing really well. Also, Phoenix, Ayton is questionable. So we'll see what happens there. If he doesn't play, that's a big, they're missing a big piece there. So that's another reason maybe to lean towards Portland. Portland had the toughest schedule out of those 3 teams, Dallas and the Lakers, trying to stay out of that play-in. And they've taken care of business so far. And if they win this, they look to be in good shape, and the Lakers might be in real trouble. But I'm kind of giving them the edge here because of the Ayton questionable tag and just the way they've been playing. And we all know they have weapons. They have offensive firepower. So you really can't sleep on them too much. So I'm going to go Portland here.
All right, going Portland here with the upset. What about you, Brian? Same thing. You got Portland getting the upset and making the Lakers sweat a bit in their final couple of games?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way because of everything Murph said in terms of the recent play, especially what we've seen. Like I haven't, it's only been like a small sample size, but as of late, especially the last 4 games, haven't quite seen the same juice with the Phoenix Suns that I did probably early on, especially in like April when you really saw them hit another gear. They were on a winning streak not that long ago, but since then, and it was a 5-game winning streak, they lost to the Atlanta Hawks by a lot, which is pretty shocking. They beat the Knicks in that one game, and then since then they lost to the Lakers and they lost to the Golden State Warriors, a Lakers team that I believe, if I recall correctly, was underhanded because LeBron James has been hurt, and Anthony Davis, as I said before, he leads the league in going to the locker room. So I don't know if he ended up finishing the game. Although that game, I think
he did. He had 42 in that game. He had a big game.
And I think he leads the league and going to the locker room and like grabbing for body parts and like on the floor.
Yeah. But with Phoenix is interesting because I was getting to the point where I was talking myself into, damn, like maybe they can come out of the West because they've been healthy and they've been playing really well, and they play a style where you get worried about Chris Paul in the playoff setting in terms of the durability and in terms of like you want him to have the enough help scoring wise around him. Now with Devin Booker, you would think that he has that. But around them, there aren't a lot of, including Devin Booker, they don't have a ton of playoff experience. So I'm wondering, like, if they're hitting a wall or if it's just a bad stretch that they'll end up putting together. They have a couple more games at San Antonio before the season ends. So for now, I would lean Portland because they're playing so well. They've won 5 straight quietly also. Not many people are talking about it. And they're a team who is dangerous in the Western Conference, as we know, because Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, they're going to give them a chance any series. And they've had some, not a ton, but some playoff success. They did get to the Western Conference Finals. Some people will call it a fluke. That shit is still hard to do. And I think that they can see themselves back there if things break right. We'll see. They want to get to that 4 or 5 spot, I'm sure. So, I would lean with them tonight. And Dame versus Chris Paul, that's always kind of a must watch for me. So I'll be there.
So the thing for me here, because I hear the concerns you have, Brian, about the Suns, and I wonder, you talk about the guys around them and if they're playoff ready. I'm wondering if Chris Paul, like his leadership, and for this game in particular, it's like, look, guys, come on, this is a big game. This is one we got to win at home.
Yep.
This is one that's going to get us ready for the playoffs. They got San Antonio coming, like you said, to close out the season.
But after this, it's just 2 road games at San Antonio. So this is the one they would want, to your point.
Right. Yeah. And this is one, if they want the 1 seed, they've got to go grab this one. They've got to do it so they'll pull in within a game of Utah, who lost to Portland last night. So this is a golden opportunity for them to stay within a game with 2 left to play. Obviously, Utah would have the upper hand, but, this is one they got to have. This is why this game is tough for me. To do this. But I'm going to lean, I'm with you guys on this. I think I'm going to go with the Blazers and take them to cover because I think they're hearing all the noise about how if they slip up, The Lakers are right behind them and ready to take advantage. And I think Dame is going to have those guys ready to go. That team was focused last night in a dogfight in Utah, even though they had no Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley. They were very focused. They executed pretty decently down the stretch. I think Portland's ready. This is some of the mentality we saw from them in the bubble when this team's back has been against a wall. We've seen Dame and these guys rise. So I like them there, but this is a close one. So I could see this, guys, where this is a 2 or 3 point game. The line is 4.5 right now. This is also why I might like taking the Blazers. I can see this coming down to the last shot. And even if the Suns win by 2 or 3 and you take the Blazers, you're still good in that aspect. I like the Blazers here. I think they'll show a lot of fight on a back-to-back. This is a major test for them. They kind of have to get it done here as well. But we'll see. Look, betting or not, these are some tough ones, especially the TNT games we talked about, guys. These are tough to call and to bet on. And as I said, we're trying to tell you maybe how you want to play it, but you might want to just sit and enjoy it without the stress of betting. Maybe you just want to do that. But some games tonight, some other games on the schedule that have some impact in terms of what people can do. The Clippers are playing the Hornets. We've got Milwaukee at Indiana. Chicago, who still has some life in the play-in tournament, they are hosting the Raptors. So there's some decent stuff around to keep your eye on the league. But let's move on to our next segment, which is to parlay or not to parlay. And I've got a couple parlays and a player prop for you guys tonight. First one, got the Knicks, 76ers, and Bulls all to win. I just spoke about the Bulls. They will be hosting the Raptors tonight. The odds on this are at plus 240. Brian, plus 240. With these teams, is this tantalizing enough for you to get in on the action?
240 is low, but I could see a scenario where all these three teams win. Because the Bulls are probably the one I would worry about the most, just because they're the Bulls. But they play the Raptors, and the Raptors aren't really playing for anything right now, and they're going to play hard because they're the Raptors. That's what they do. But at the same time, they're probably not going to have like their typical guys out there. Producer Greg tells us that they're going to sit their starters. I don't know how many, but that's enough for me to feel confident about picking the Chicago Bulls. Then you're talking about Knicks Spurs, not a gimme. I would lean Knicks. And 76ers Heat, I would slightly lean Heat, as we talked about earlier, but it wouldn't shock me at all if the Sixers, won. They've been a better team all season. And if Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler are out, this season Miami hasn't really been good without Jimmy Butler. That's more of a significant loss for them. Whereas we've seen Philadelphia, sort of thug out some wins even without Joel Embiid there, especially if Tobias Harris is able to pick up the slack. So I would probably take this just because I feel confident in all three teams winning, though I kind of wish the number was a little bit higher, but I understand why it's not, because it's very realistic that this happens.
Yeah, I was actually just checking to see if the number even went up a little bit because of everything we talked about with the Philly-Miami game, but it's still a 240. I just went and checked in on that, seeing if we can get some better odds. But no, still a 240. Murph, are you in on this or not?
I mean, why not? I'm not overly enthusiastic, but these are the, like Brian said, you can see these three teams winning. I definitely like Chicago because, like you said, Toronto is sitting. It looks like they're sitting their whole team. They're talking about sitting the starters. I mean, who's playing for them? You probably don't even know three of their starters. Like if we see it today,
it's like a G League team out there.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on, but they will play hard, so you never know. The Knicks, I expect to win. That Philly-Miami game could go either way, but 240 is not that much, but why not? If you're feeling dangerous, you're living dangerous right now, want to put a couple bucks on plus 240, might as well go ahead, because this could definitely happen that these three teams win. And two of them I'm pretty confident about. So why not? Go ahead.
Yeah, same. Too confident about that Philly-Miami game. Is just, I even said to stay away in terms of betting on that game, period. So not confident about it, but like Brian said, not shocked if the Sixers win. Yeah, throw a couple of bucks. And if you're feeling really froggy and want to leap, you want to put some bigger bucks on it and see what you can get. I guess, why not? Why not? Why not try it? All right, next thing I got a player prop. Giannis Antetokoumpo, Greek Freak, to record a triple-double. I felt like this number was tantalizing enough. Plus 1,000 for this to happen. The Bucks are playing the Pacers tonight. Just double checking on where that game is happening. If they're hosting, no, they're on the road in Indianapolis. The Bucks are to play the Pacers. Giannis, I guess they're thinking they could put up, maybe he's possibly could put up some big numbers. Watching Giannis, would maybe worry about the assists. Are you confident, Murph, in him getting a triple-double here tonight against the Pacers? And because it's plus 1,000, which is in that tantalizing zone, would you get in on this?
I mean, plus 1,000 is tantalizing. I'll give you that. But there's a reason it's plus 1,000. Surprisingly, he hasn't had a triple-double in a long time. It's been over 2 months since he's had a triple-double. I know he has 7 on the season. And then even more recently, I just noticed that I don't know whether he's pacing himself, getting ready for the playoffs, but he hasn't. It seems like he's been a little less aggressive the last couple of games, even in wins. So I'm going to stay away from this. I'm not here just to throw my money away. You know what I'm saying?
You're not?
Even if it's just plus 1,000, I'm not giving money away. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's been over 2 months since he's done it. I don't think he's going to be that motivated to do it now with the playoffs just around the corner. I think he's looking at that. He's a little scared that he might have to face Miami again in the first round. So he's trying to get hype for that. You know what I'm saying? So no, I think he coasts the rest of this regular season. Save your money here. Don't do it.
Now what you have done is you have tantalized Brian into letting him know that the Miami Heat are going to put the fear of God into the Milwaukee Bucks if they see him again. Brian, I don't even want to ask you if you buy that because I know that you do. I know you absolutely buy that. We know this to be true. Do you buy Giannis getting a triple-double, or because of how long it's been since he's done it, are you staying away like Murph?
I want to because they're playing the Pacers, who, as we've talked about time and again, have become a big disappointment. And it's plus 1,000. And we don't get a lot of thousands when we do this. But Murph,
that doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right. And that's sort of what I'm getting at. Murph brings up a couple great points. One, he hasn't done this shit in a long ass time. All right. He hasn't done it in spring, basically. Right. You have to go back a ways. And then on top of that, is he really going to be that motivated? Like, I feel good about him getting the double-double. Like, I feel like he can walk away with like the 18 and 11, which for Giannis is actually pretty modest. But is he going to get 10 assists? And to whom? Right? And I definitely don't see him getting a triple-double with blocks. I don't think he's going to get but so many blocks. So this is a tough one for me to sort of talk myself into. If I did do it, it would be a very small amount. But then the amount will be so small where you would question whether or not it's even worth it. So, yeah, this is probably a stay away from me because Giannis just doesn't get triple doubles. Like, if this was a Luka prop, it wouldn't be plus 1,000. If it was a Luka prop, I would go for it.
Yeah, if it was Luka, it would not be plus 1,000. It's plus 1,000 for a reason. Just because it's tantalizing doesn't mean you have to do it. I'm with Murph on this. I'm staying away. I have no belief this would happen. Someone could say, well, why not? Why not just throw $25 on it? You never know. You'll get a great return because it's also very likely that I'll just lose that $25. And you know what? I could do so many better things with that $25. There's so much better things I could do that'll make my night more enjoyable. So, yeah. Eric Chang, what's up, man? We see you here. We appreciate you rocking with us. He said, watch it be a sweat now. Yeah.
16, 11, and 8. Watch.
I can see that. 16, 11, and 8. And you know what happens? You're sitting there with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, begging Giannis to get you 2 assists. And then you'll be feeling like what Brian said. To who? Who is this going to? I don't trust it. Not doing it. I got to stay away on this one. Can't do it, man. Can't just be throwing your money away. You can, but you know what I mean. You can't just be doing it. All right. Last one. Parlay involving a couple players that we talked about. Domantas Sabonis of the Pacers and Nikola Jokic, both to record a triple-double again. This one at plus 75, but 575, plus 575, but you're asking 2 players to get a triple-double. One does it a lot. The other gets a lot of double-doubles, sometimes does it. Do you guys like this? Brian, I'll start with you. You don't believe in Giannis. We're staying away from this, but will you put your money on Sabonis and Jokic?
I will almost always take a Nikola Jokic triple-double bet. Domantas Sabonis, who I love, This is a little tough against the Milwaukee Bucks. Like bad enough that you have to bet on one person getting a triple double, but two people getting a triple double in the same night, that's a lot. But you know what? I feel good about Jokic. I'll be surprised if he doesn't do it because that's what he's been doing all season long. And then with Sabonis, the added, Karis LeVert not being there, as Greg tells us, should probably help. And I think that, with Sabonis, like, I have a tough time seeing him getting all the way to 10 assists. And Malcolm Brogdon is also hurt, but he's gonna have the opportunity to have the usage, but I don't see how that's gonna help his assists because again, it's like, is he just gonna be dumping the ball off to Miles Turner 10 times? Like, what's gonna happen there? So I may take it and put a very small amount on it, but I just have a hard time seeing Domantas Sabonis, recover his end of the bargain. Now, inevitably, what's going to happen is that Domantas Sabonis gets 23, 13, and 11, and Nikola Jokic gets 34, 17, and 9. Watch.
that will be a rough one. Nikola Jokic 15 triple dubs on the season. Domantas Sabonis has 9, so he can do it. Turner's still out, so you're worrying about the guys.
Oh boy, he's not gonna. Never mind those handoffs. Then Doug McDermott, TJ McConnell. Where are the assists coming from?
You're banking on those. You're banking on those guys, Doug McDermott and TJ McConnell. I don't think anybody's ever said they wanted to bank on those guys.
Instead of this prop, I might want to see. Maybe Eric Chang or somebody in the chat could let us know what are the odds of Domantas Sabonis going for like 40 or something like that. I might do that instead.
That'd be good. And I want to say I saw Eric Chang just brought up a comment. I kind of agreed with him when I looked at this player parlay, which was like, he was like, sheesh, it should be about plus 2,500 because you're asking two guys to get triple doubles here.
Facts.
And I think there's something. I did think the odds on this could be a little bit higher, maybe not that high, but like a little bit more in terms of what they're asking. Blackjack Sam, thank you for watching the show. We appreciate you rocking with us. You said you'll watch more, so we appreciate that. But Murph, are you believing in this? Because I feel like the more Brian talked here, the more I was thinking about it, doing this, and I'm like, I don't know about this. I'm trusting Doug McDermott and TJ McConnell. I feel like whenever you say that, that's not good. So, are you getting in on this action? I see you shaking your head. It looks like a no.
I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm going back and forth. Even while you guys are talking, I'm like, no way. Then I'm like, well, maybe. I think I'm gonna do it. I don't know why. I think. Well, the funny thing is, we assume Jokic is the guy that's definitely gonna get it. I'm looking back at the game logs. He hasn't. It's been a while for him too. He hasn't had a triple double in a month, which I can't believe.
Not as long as I thought, though.
Right. Yeah. Whereas Sabonis has 2 this week. He has 2 triple doubles this week, and he has 3 in the last 2 weeks. So I think I'm gonna do it. I wish it was higher. I wish this was plus 1,000. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would. Right.
I think Murph just swayed me, guys.
I think he swayed me too.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it because Sabonis, he's on a little triple double roll, and Jokic is playing Minnesota tonight. So if there's ever an easy trip, is that who he's playing?
Jokic, the Nuggets are playing the Timberwolves. Yes, they're at Minnesota.
Minnesota tonight. So if ever you could get like an easier triple double for him, this might be it. So I'm gonna put a little money on that and say that they both get it done. It's wild. I do think the odds should be greater. When you're asking, like Brian said, you're asking 2 guys to get triple doubles here.
Yep.
You go plus 1,000 for Giannis, but only plus 75 for 2 different dudes. But why not? It's sunny outside. It's a nice day. I might throw some money at.
Yeah, I could only feel the reason it was that low is because maybe they have more of an expectation on Jokic getting the triple doubles. However, like Murph, you messed me all up in the game. And I know Brian's going to talk on this too because I was like, yeah, I'm out on this. I'm not doing it. But then noticing that Sabonis has been doing this recently, where the Pacers have had a lot of injuries, they've been really depleted. They have won a couple games in a row. Maybe he's feeling more confident. Maybe TJ McConnell and Doug McDermott are the dudes to get buckets that we never thought they could be. Maybe all this happens. I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth, but they did. Maybe that happens. And so I don't know. Eric Chang also asked a question that Brian can answer. Has Brian bet any money on Pacers coaches and players getting into a fight? I don't think Brian's paid too much attention to the Pacers coaches, but I feel like this could be in his Keep It 100 tonight.
Well, last week, what I did do was I did 2 Pacer bets, actually. One of them was that their coach gets fired, and one of them was that Becky Hammon would be the next head coach of the Indiana Pacers. I do remember saying that. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. So, not yet, but that would be entertaining if it does happen tonight. So, maybe stay tuned for Keep It 100.
And they've actually played a little better. They've been more spirited since the whole story about them giving up on the coach and the coach not getting along with people in the organization. Ever since that came out, they've been playing harder. And Sabonis has been back, and I guess this is why they're playing better, because he's doing everything. So maybe that continues. And as for Jokic, maybe he's due. It's been a month, which I couldn't believe.
Yeah, it's shocking for him. Eric Chang did some research for us too. He has Sabonis over 39.5 points tonight. That's at plus 1,112. So some good odds on that.
See you on Keeping 100.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. And I mean, who else is going to score? So I don't know. Maybe that's one you want to look into.
LeVert is questionable also.
Yeah, LeVert is out, right? LeVert is out.
He's out?
Yeah, he's out. Yep, he's out.
Maybe. So he might be. And even if he is, whatever.
Jeremy Lamb also not playing. So yeah, I'm gonna see now. You're gonna make me possibly put money on this and tune into this game tonight, which I did not plan to actually look at. I did not plan to look at that one at all whatsoever. All right, want to remind the viewers out there, if you like this content, you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button to the Props Network channel. See more of us. We do this every Thursday night at 6 p.m. So you can come and rock with us. We will be letting you know what our adjusted schedule will be around the playoffs and how we'll do things around that following the play-in. So we'll have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. Also, if you enjoy looking at all the betting odds, the place you want to go is the propsnetwork.com and use their live odds tool. It's the best place to do all the live odds comparison. You have it all in one place. You can see all the betting lines from all the different betting houses, different spreads and payouts from all the best legal sports books, all in one place. That's at the propsnetwork.com/NBA. That's all you got to do, and you can see all the games you want for the NBA there. So that's good. All right, guys, we got to talk about the final day of the season, regular season finale. All 30 teams will be playing on the final day of the season. That will be this Sunday, May 16th. And there's a lot of intriguing games. A lot of this stuff we're talking about in terms of seeding, who's in the play-in, who's out of the play-in. All of this can come down to Sunday, absolutely for sure. And so, like I said, all 30 teams will be in action on Sunday. So that means 15 games. There was this talk before about possibly the games all being played within a certain 3-hour window, but that has now been changed. It'll be 1:00 on Sunday. Games will start at 9. There are 6 of those games that'll start at 9 o'clock. So very, very interesting. I've looked at the matchup, guys. I want to discuss this with you a little bit. What do you think about some of the matchups? Is there anything that you're really intrigued in terms of a betting standpoint? I know we won't know a lot of what will happen over the next 2 days, but is there anything that catches your eye and intrigues you in terms of the final day of matchup? Brian, I'll start with you.
I mean, y'all know what I'm looking for when it comes to between now and the playoffs. Will the Miami Heat get it together, and will they be able to kick it up into gear, because they could get some money thrown their way? They're going to be, if they end the season strong, and if they get into that 4 or 5 spot, and this is in all seriousness, they're going to be a popular bet in terms of, like, can they get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Can they potentially get to the finals? Because they're going to be a heavy favorite in that first series in their 4 or 5, regardless of who they play. It would probably be the Atlanta Hawks under that scenario. I feel like a lot of money will be coming in on them if they were to face the Milwaukee Bucks in a 3-6 scenario, because they just match up with them well outside of that one big blowout loss earlier this year, which they then beat them right back the next night without Jimmy Butler. And then, them beating the Bucks in 5 games last year in the playoffs, they just match up with them very well because they have Bam, who's somebody who can just get in Giannis's way, which a lot of other teams don't necessarily have in that same way, especially on the perimeter, And I think that, they're going to be sort of a trendy pick if they do end the season strong and if they get to that 4 or 5 spot. But even if they get to that 6 spot, they'll be able to be somebody that will command a lot of first round money. But you'll look beyond that if they get to that 4 or 5. So I'm watching them in the Eastern Conference. And then in the West, we'll see. I was high on Portland coming in. You guys remember I said something along the lines of I expect them to get to the Western Conference Finals. I don't think that's going to be the case as of right now, but talk to me after Sunday. We'll see what happens because I literally still do not know who I'm going to pick the rest of the way coming out of either conference, coming out of any round. I have no idea what I'm going to do yet. I really need to see how these things line up. But those are probably the 2 teams I'm watching the most.
So obviously a lot relies on, depends, I should say, on what happens with the Heat tonight. They will be at Detroit on Sunday. That's 8 o'clock start. And you also brought up Portland on how big that game could be for them or possibly the Lakers, depending on or the Mavericks as well, too, depending on how all these things shake out. They will be hosting the Denver Nuggets. Don't know what Nuggets will have to play for in that regard Sunday. And so so much depends on the next 2 days and what happens there as we look at it. Are there any of the Sunday matchups you like, Murph, or you will be keeping your eye on that you say, like, hey, this is a game where a lot could be riding on it come Sunday?
Yeah, it's like you said, a lot depends on what happens tonight, Friday, Saturday, to see what these games will actually mean. But when I look at them now, there are 2 games that stick out to me. That Memphis Golden State game, right now they're both fighting for that 8-9 spot, which is big because the play-in, if you're 9, you got to win 2 games. If you're 7-8, you got to win 1 game. Or at least 1 or 2 games. So, no, 1 game in 2, in 2 chances.
But you have 2 check cracks at it, right?
Right, 2 cracks at it. So right now they're separated by Memphis and Golden State are separated by about half a game. So that could be big. I could see that's at Golden State. I could see Golden State being like a 3-point favorite in that game if it matters. And I think I would lean towards Golden State and Steph Curry in a last game of the season scenario where it means something. You don't really want to face Steph Curry in that situation. So that's one to watch for. Then the other one, same thing. Brian was looking at that Denver-Portland game where it might mean something to both. Denver could be playing for the 3rd seed instead of the 4th seed. They're only a game out now. Portland, we already talked about, what it means for them. So that could be a big game, and that's at Portland. Or is it?
That game is at Portland.
Yeah, that game is at Portland.
At Portland.
So, I can see Portland being like a 1 or 2 point favorite if the game means something to both. And I don't know what I would do there. Portland's been playing well. I'm like Brian. I'm like the opposite of Brian because I wasn't. I've always kind of slept on Portland, and I still sleep on them in terms of really, playing on both sides of the ball and being a serious threat in the West. But, it doesn't hurt to end the season on a very high note, playing well, 9 out of 10. We talked about it before. So they're definitely, at the very least, they're a dangerous team. We know they have all kinds of offensive firepower. And we talked about how they've been there before. They've been to the Western Conference Finals before. So this is a team that, they've been there, done that. It's happened. So, they're definitely capable. So those are the two games I'm really looking at that could be fun to bet on and have major implications.
Yeah, that's a good one. That Denver-Portland game is definitely high on my list. That could have a lot going down. You also mentioned the Memphis-Golden State game. That's going to be an ESPN game, and obviously they wanted to schedule these games. They thought that could have a lot of playoff implications. The 2 games that day on national TV, Memphis at Golden State, also Boston at the Knicks, because of what that could mean for whether the Celtics stay at 7 or the Knicks are trying to move up or whatever. I think that those 2 are really interesting. That Memphis Golden State game, as Murph illustrated, it's so much riding on that because literally the difference between you having to win one game to get in the playoffs or win two is so much riding on that game. And I actually feel like looking at the schedule and the way, if you want to project how things will go, I think that might truly end up being the most meaningful game of the day in terms of so much. A lot of other stuff will ride on it, but it'll be so much riding on it because it's Memphis hasn't been that great down the stretch. Golden State's looked insane behind Steph Curry, even though they got nobody else really out there. So there's a lot that's going on there too. I mean, obviously the other thing is the Lakers. What are they playing for? They will be against Smurf's team, the New Orleans Pelicans, who are eliminated from any kind of competition, contention. They will be playing them 9:00 on Sunday. That'll be very interesting to see where they're at. So that'll also be interesting. I think another interesting one too is Phoenix. What do they have to play for against San Antonio? And what does Utah have to play for playing Sacramento? And in terms of San Antonio, Sacramento, is Sacramento still alive to even make the play? And would be ridiculous if they do. But are they still alive to even make the play? And I think all that stuff is very interesting to watch on the final day of the season. My only down thing is I wish they kind of kept the games in that 3-hour time range of starting. I wish they kind of did that. So we didn't know, a lot of teams wouldn't know what was going on and be very motivated to play strong, but they're not. So we got the game spread out all day, but we'll be doing all day watching those games. That's for sure. I'll be sitting around watching those games. So it'll be pretty interesting. All right, guys. Last segment of the night. You know how we do. Keep it 100. Brian's probably going to bet on some violence in some way or some sort. Maybe it'll be player coach. Maybe it'll be player. Maybe it'll be ref on ref. I don't know. Who knows? We have no idea. Murph, how are you spending $100 tonight for Keep It 100?
I'm gonna go big on the Knicks. I'm gonna go 50 on the Knicks covering that. I think, what is it, 4.5 or 5.5 at the moment?
4.5.
4.5.
Sorry.
Yeah, 4.5 is even better.
Yep.
Like that. Give me the Knicks minus 4.5. I'm very
5.5. Sorry, they're 5.5. Yep.
All right, fine. I'll go the extra point. I'm bullish on the Knicks coming off the Laker game. We know they're going to play D. We know that Tibbs is not going to allow them to come out flat. San Antonio's coming off just getting blown out by Brooklyn. Didn't look good at all.
Are you a little concerned that some of the news that just came out? Derrick Rose is out, Murph. Alec Burks in. Rose has been so good, which means we have to rely on more Elfrid Payton.
I am concerned, and I did not know that, but I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
Derrick Rose has been key, but a lot of my bullishness on the Knicks is just not liking the way San Antonio looks right now. And knowing, regardless of who's playing for the Knicks, they're going to bring energy. They're going to play defense. They know they need to win this game. So I think the Knicks, are going to want this more. Randall's the best player on the floor. Which we in previous years we would have never said that.
Yes.
But this is a brand new Randall. He's not playing. I was impressed by how he was not shy about taking it to Anthony Davis, against the Lakers, even though Davis is a spectacular defensive player. But Randall did not back down. So I think at the very least, he'll try to carry them to a victory against San Antonio. So I'll put 50 on that. I'll put another 25 on the under for that game. And then my last 25, I'm gonna go all out there and put the 25 on Sabonis and Jokic plus 575. Try to get the out. Like I said, it's nice outside. You know what I'm saying? It's almost summer. I gotta have some fun. Let it loose, and that's what I'm doing. A big $25 on that. You guys in the triple double plus 575.
I get nervous when I can see that nice weather makes people make poor decisions, but it wouldn't be the first time that's happened before. Brian, how you spending this $100 tonight?
A lot of violence again this week.
First, what a shock. What a shock.
First, we're going to start with basketball. We're going to take that Knicks, Sixers, Bulls, although it's only plus 240. Why not? $20 on that.
20, okay.
For all of them to win. We're going to go to the Pacers versus Bucks game, which we touched on a lot. Domantas Sabonis and Nikola Jokic triple doubles plus 575. Put 20 on that. Put 20 on the line that Eric Chang provided us, which is plus 1,100 or whatever it was for Sabonis to get 40 over under 39.5 points to be exact. and I'm going to take that and put $20 on it. So there goes 60 right there. To the violence we go. We got $10 on Drew McIntyre winning the WWE Championship from Bobby Lashley. I hope to God this does not happen, but I have a bad feeling that it will. So I'm just going to put my money on Drew McIntyre plus 200. Edson Barbosa over Shane Burgos in round 3 of their UFC bout this weekend. I'm putting $10 on that because that is plus 1,600 for Edson Barbosa to win in round 3. So why not? Let's just take a bull bet there, even though he's an underdog. Next weekend, I'm doing this ahead of time because I want to get in on this. Next weekend, big unification on ESPN. All the lightweight titles are on the line. Jose Ramirez undefeated. Josh Taylor undefeated. I got Jose Ramirez in under 10 rounds, finishing Josh Taylor. That's plus 270. Again, that is every single lightweight championship on the line, and both guys are undefeated, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Super lightweight, not lightweight. My $1 bet is I was going to pick on the Pacers and do like a Bjorkin, whatever the fuck his name is, and Sabonis thing. But I got to go with the obvious one, double technicals for Damian Lillard and Chris Paul because they're playing each other and they're both, come on, it's right there. It's right there. We gotta play smart money. You know what I mean? So everything from Jose Ramirez to Damian Lillard, you got to hear.
Yeah, pretty crazy and full of violence as we expected. All right, here's what I'm going with tonight. Give me $25 on the Clippers. Clippers favored -8 against the Hornets. I think they will cover that pretty easily, although on the road in Charlotte, I think they will get the job done there. Give me the Clippers there. I like Murph. I'm feeling good about the Knicks. I'm throwing 50 on the Knicks too. I think they'll cover with the -5.5. I think the Knicks will have a very inspired game. I even think Elfrid Payton will play so well that our producer Gregory Alcala will be smiling at the end of the night and might actually think about the Knicks wanting to re-sign Elfrid Payton. I probably went too far on that. That's probably not going to happen. But I like the Knicks in this. And then my last 25, you know what? I'm going to go with Murph, man. The weather's nice.
Yes.
Sun is shining. Why not do something crazy? I'm not going to put it on the same parlay as Murph, though. I'm going to put the 25 stupidly. I know this is stupid, and I'm still going to do it. Put the 25 on Giannis Antetokoumpo to record a triple-double with the plus 1,000. You know what, guys? The plus 1,000 was just too tantalizing. I was looking at it, and I was like, it just told me, it's like, yeah, come on. Give me the money. And I gave the money. So
sundress season will make you do some stupid things.
No comment on that, man. I'm going to stay away from that. But if Murph can be bad with the good weather,
let's go. Let's do this.
Locking it out. Although I think it's very likely that we'll see what happened. What Eric Cheng said, which is, we'll get teased by Giannis here. We'll get teased. He'll have like 8 assists in the fourth quarter. And I'm gonna be like, damn.
Nah, you know what? He's 18-11. He's gonna finish with 8 assists. And he's gonna finish with 7 blocks. He's gonna be right there. He's gonna have the 8 and 7 with 5 minutes left, and then it's gonna be a blowout. So they're just gonna take him out.
Yeah. Are you guys, before we get out of here, you guys really excited about this play-in tournament and watching it, or the possibility of matchups? Because I'll be very excited to watch that Lakers-Warriors matchup if it happens. Anybody else excited about the play-in tournament?
Yeah. So I like the play-in. I kind of wish the format was, sort of standard 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9, because it is slightly just annoying and how it is, but it's going to be fun. Like, I'm not going to dispute that, though. Like, I'm going to enjoy Steph Curry in a do-or-die scenario versus LeBron James or Damian Lillard in a do-or-die scenario. I think slight chance that it's even Luka Doncic, though I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. And if Portland wins tonight, then they'll just about definitely not be in the play-in because they're tied. I mean, they're already ahead of the Lakers because they have a tiebreaker with them. So, but Steph Curry is pretty much definitely going to be there. And you have also on the East Coast, the Celtics are going to be in a play-in scenario, which is interesting. Like, we might get Jason Tatum versus LaMelo Ball. And you want to talk about 2 rising stars in the league, like that's something that actually has my attention a lot. So it's going to be fun. And obviously, you got to mention Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, assuming he's back. I think he'll be back by then. Like, the Wizards have been playing well as of late. They've become, after being just bad early on, they've become one of the most interesting teams in the NBA. So seeing them in a do-or-die scenario, especially Russell Westbrook, for the theater alone, is going to be interesting because you know that if they were to get out of it, whoever they play in the first round is somebody that is not really going to be here to see them. And that's going to be fun.
I mean, it's not impossible that Washington can make it in, and it's not impossible, guys. And Gerard will have big energy next week about this, that the C's could be out of the play-in tournament. Like, would it shock anybody? Wouldn't shock me if the C's fell out of the play-in tournament the way they look right now. Eric Cheng just shared with us what he thinks about Boston. Well, what did you say, Murph?
It'd be more shocking, really, the way if they won.
Right.
It looks like they're mailing it in. I mean, they had a rough season anyway. So then when you lose Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker's been hurt. He hasn't been able to play back-to-backs. So you lose Jaylen Brown. Now you know for sure that we're not going to really do anything, this postseason. It's human nature that they kind of just let this one go and just let's try to come back strong next year. It's almost like how Philly was last year when they lost Simmons. They get swept in the first round. Nobody's talking about that now. They came back strong. That's what Boston's going to have to do. But I agree with Eric Cheng. Right now, Boston is trash. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and he questioned how they lose to Cleveland. Cleveland had like a 20-3 run on them in the fourth quarter last night. And just like, they just looked, they looked like it was they didn't care.
Embiid took the private jet and got to Miami.
They better boost that plus 240 then. You know what I mean? They better boost that.
I'm gonna keep my eye on that before we wrap. But yeah, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add about Boston is because we've been saying all year long, like if Kemba gets right, and he kind of looked right, like toward this very last part of the season. He had a stretch of 3 out of 4 games where he had 30 points or more and was shooting efficiently. Like you're watching them against the Heat, he's basically carrying their offense. And he's kind of almost doing it alone. I felt like I was watching the Charlotte Hornets, no joke. Because it reminded me of when he had no help. And not saying this was exactly the case, but it reminded me of watching where he had no help and they just had to set a bunch of screens for him because it's like, what else are they going to do offensively? And he's actually turned it up down the stretch. And even before Jaylen Brown got hurt. And again, their roster construction has just been poorer and poorer every single year. And this is a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they've had as much injury and COVID issues as anybody else in the NBA. But at the same time, you're trading for Evan Fournier at the trade deadline. I'm not going to feel bad for you.
Next man up. He's the next man up for Jaylen Brown, man.
It doesn't make sense. They clearly needed a big because the Tristan Thompson signing didn't work the way they thought it was going to, the way I thought it was going to, too. I thought that was going to be actually pretty impactful, but it hasn't. They're relying on Time Lord Williams, who, he's not ready consistently to be sort of that dude in the middle. Taco Fall's getting consistent minutes sometimes, and it's like, you trade for Evan Fournier when you clearly need a big, when you probably should have got at least Aaron Gordon. I don't know, bro.
I don't know. Fournier, he did drop 40. He did carry me to a fantasy championship. Dropped 40 for me or something like that in one of the last games. So he has my newfound respect. Fournier, let's go. I'm rooting for you. Thanks for coming through for me. But just going back to the play-in, I think we got to wait and see in terms of, you got to let these games happen, and we'll see how exciting they actually are. You know what I mean? We'll see how these one and done games look on the NBA, on the NBA stage. And then if they turn out to be crazy, we'll probably be stuck with this forever. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Kemba Walker 28-5-4 on 50, 43, and 79 splits his last 7 games. That's Charlotte. That's Charlotte numbers.
Yeah, unfortunately, he still has some health issues. I'm with you, Murph. We kind of have to see how these games are. The only thing I can speak to so far is the play-in I like the effect it's had on the regular season in the end, where it seems to have curtailed less tanking. You're not going to do what Detroit and Houston and Minnesota, what they're going to do is what they're going to do because they're trash. But I like what it's done and how we're talking about so many games and we don't know what's going to happen even through Sunday. It's made a very interesting end of the regular season, even if the games are whack in the play-in, which I got to think at least 2 of them will be decent. I have to think that. Right. There's going to come some game where there's going to be some heroics or some stakes on the line, or we've already talking about the storylines, right, guys? We're talking about, Brian talked about how nobody might want to see Russ and Beal. Not that they can win a series, but now when you kind of think about it, Russ and Beal in the playoffs seem more dangerous than Boston would be in the playoffs, right? Just in terms of pushing somebody. So, and
the spirit they play with.
Yeah, the spirit they're going to play with and the chip on their shoulder. Some of the other playing teams in the East, Charlotte, Indiana, I'm not really excited about them in those games, really, other than seeing LaMelo ball. Like if somehow LaMelo gets in the playoffs as an 8 seed or something, is that good for the league? Hell yeah, it is. It's definitely good for the league. So, we'll see. We'll see how these playing games are. We'll be watching, and we'll be watching everything over the next couple of days, and then we'll be back next week to talk about the playoffs. The playoffs. We'll actually be talking playoff basketball. No more regular season basketball to talk about. Will still be a lot of odds for people who want to get in stuff in terms of the championship. So that'll be your last chance to get in if you want on certain odds with certain teams. Brian talking about Miami could be a good pick. You may want to look at Portland in the West. There's a lot of things to talk about there. So we'll talk about that next week. NBA Picks and Props will be here with you at 6 p.m. on Thursday, like we always are. Thank you to everybody who watched tonight. Eric Chang, good to see you back. I feel you on that Let's Go Knicks energy. Let's keep that up. Brian's going to bring that Miami Heat energy for sure. So that's it.
I feel you on that legalized recreational marijuana. Good job, New York. About time.
Let's just say it's going to be a blazing summer. That's for sure. Out here.
Didn't they legalize betting too?
That has not happened officially in terms of the sports betting. That's next. I think
we're doing this fucking show from New York. Like, come on, son. Like we got to be able to, not have to have our little workarounds.
We got to walk across the GW Bridge just to place a bet, man.
To place a bet, man.
Or send somebody else the money to do it for us.
Yeah. I like that idea too. All right, from my man Brian Fonseca, my man Jamal Murphy, I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, next week, 6 p.m. Eastern, live here on the Props Network. We'll be with you. But until next time, y'all, peace.